All right, hello. We're going to have a go at paper 2 today, the foundation paper. This is a predicted paper based on the topics that have been released for this year, 2022. And this is a calculator paper, so I've got my calculator with me. And, well, let's get cracking. So as always, just a quick look at the cheat sheets, if it'll catch up with me. So we've got the perimeter, area and volume, we've got area of a trapezium, we've got the volume of a prism, we've got the circumference and area of a circle. We've also got Pythagoras' theorem, we've got the trigonometric ratios, we've got a bit of compound interest and some probability. So we'll keep that in mind in case we need them. All right then, so let's just get started with this paper. Question 1 says write down a multiple of 7 that is between 20 and 30. Well, if you know your 7 times table, there are two numbers actually, 21 and 28, but you just need to stick one down, so let's do 21. Number 2 says write 3,761 to the nearest 100. Well, we think about the hundreds column, and when I'm rounding up, I'll just draw a little line after the hundreds column. And the number after the line tells us whether it's going to round up or stay the same. And because it's 6, if it's 5 or more, it's going to round up. So this to the nearest 100 is going to be 3,800. Number 3, write 0.9 as a percentage. Well, that is just 90%. And 4 says change 75 kilograms into grams. Well, 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. So 75 kilograms is going to be 75,000 grams. Number 5, here is a shape. Write down the mathematical name for the shape. Well, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So it is a hexagon. Number 6, write down the mathematical name for the straight line touching the circle. Well, a straight line that just touches the circle right at the edge is called a tangent. Okay, so hopefully these are all pretty straightforward, but the main goal with the first few questions is just trying to make sure you don't get any silly mistakes. All right, so number 7, we've got 3 symbols, less than, more than, and equals. Write one of these symbols in each box to make 4 statements true. Well, 3/4 is definitely bigger than a half, so we can write greater than. 25 is less than 30. Now 2/5, if we have a think about this, 1/5 is the same as 0.2 and 2/5 is double that, which is 0.4. And that's exactly what we've got here. So that is going to be an equal sign. And -9 is less than -4. Yeah, it's further to the left on the number line. Number 8, find the number that is exactly halfway between a 1/6 and 7/12. All right then, well, to help with this, we might want to make the fractions over the same denominator, make the bottom the same. So if I times this one by 2 on the top and bottom, then we're going to get a matching 12, aren't we? So now we've got 2/12, so I've got to times the top by 2 as well, and we can keep that as 7/12. So really, we're just finding halfway between 2 and 7. You can just think about it for a sec, or you can do the average. So 2 plus 7/2 is 9/2, which is 4.5. So halfway is 4.5/12, but I don't really like using it as a fraction and a decimal. So we can either simplify this, which is what I'll probably do. So we want to try and divide it by 12, but let's see if we can divide it by 3 to start with. So that's going to be 1.5/4. And then if we divide that by 4, well, if we half it to start with, that's 0.75/2. And then if we half that again, that's going to be 0.375. Okay. Number 9, it just says write down the coordinates of the point A. Well, if we look at it, the x coordinate is 2 and the y coordinate is 6. So that is just going to be 2 and 6. And B says on the grid, mark with a cross the point 5 minus 1. Well, in that case, the x coordinate is 5. Let's use a different colour for that. So the x coordinate is 5 and the y coordinate is -1, and they want to mark it with a cross, so that's going to be here. Okay, number 10, a film starts at 7:45 p.m. The film lasts 98 minutes. What time does the film finish? Okay, well, there's a few different ways of doing this, but what we can do is we can split this 98 into an hour and what's left. So you've got 60 minutes for an hour, and you've got 38, minutes left. So if we add an hour, so if we start at 7:45, 8:45 is going to be the 60 minutes. And then we just want to add 38 to that. So let's just be careful with time. We can add the 30. So if you start at 8:45 and add half an hour, you're going to end up at 9:15. That's 30 minutes. And then we just want to add, so I've just split that up again like that. And then I just want to add the 8 then, and that'll give me 9:23. So 9:23, and we'll just stick that PM there as well. All right, number 11. So Mr. Blair buys 30 pens, 30 rulers, 30 pencils, and 30 calculators. What is the total amount of money Mr. Blair spent? Okay, well, let's not forget we've got a calculator. Well, let's write out what we're going to do. So 30 pens is going to be 30 times, well, 85p I'm going to write as 0.85 plus 30 rulers. Now it's 10 for £2.64. So we need to think about that a little bit. So let's rub that out for a second. So if I think about 10, so it's 10 for 264, so 30, I need 3 lots of 10. Okay, so for this rulers, it's going to be 3 lots of £2.64. Plus pencils, it's 6 for 52p. So again, we think, well, how many 6s go into 30? And it's 5. So for 30, we need 5 lots of that. So that is going to be 5 times £0.52. And finally, calculators are £6.25 each, so we want 30 times £6.25. Okay, so I'm just going to get my calculator out. I'm going to put all of that in. So 30 times 0.85 plus 3 times 2.64. Just make sure I've got my brackets around it. Plus 5 times 0.52 plus 30 times 6.25. And altogether, I'm going to end up with £228.87. So I'll just make sure I've put that in the answer box like that. Perfect. All right, next question then. So number 12, work out the size of the angle marked X. Well, this is an X angle, or you can call it vertically opposite, and the opposite ones in the X are equal. So X is just 98, and the reason is vertically opposite angles are equal. Okay, number 13, it says work out the angle of ABC and give a reason for your answer. Well, let's write the reason first. So the reason we know is that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So that's the reason we're going to use. So let's add them up to start with. So we've got 64 plus 32, which is 96. And then we want to take that away from 180 to see what's left, and that is going to be 84. So ABC is going to be 84 degrees. Number 14, AB and BC are perpendicular lines. Work out the size of the angle marked X. Well, again, if they're perpendicular, this time we've got a right angle, and a right angle is 90 degrees. So we just want to do 90, take away 52. For all of this maths, you can just use a calculator, and please do use a calculator, and that's going to be 38 degrees. Okay, so question 15, it says the length of a rectangle is 3 times the width of the rectangle, and the area of the rectangle is 48 centimetres squared. Draw the rectangle on a centimetre grid. All right, well, if we start just drawing a quick sketch so we can think about what it looks like. So we're saying that the length is 3 times the width. So whatever the width is, the length is going to be 3 times. So I've just called it x there. All right then. And then what we want to do is just write down the area. Well, it's base times height. So x times 3x is 3x squared, and that is 48. And that's from that there. Now, if we divide by 3, we're going to get that x squared is 16. And then if you square root it, you're going to get that x is 4. So in our example then, in our little sketch, we're going to have that this is 4 and this is 3 times 4, which is 12. So let's just draw that then. So obviously with a ruler, if you can, I've not got one with me. So we want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it's going to be 4 up. And there it is. Okay. Number 16, the table shows information about the number of goals scored in 38 games. Find the median number of goals scored. So with this, you want to write the cumulative frequency. So that's when you kind of add them up as you're going along. So we'll just write that as C freq. All right. And so with the first one, it's just going to be 7. Then 7 plus 14 is 21. 21 plus 11 is 32, and 32 plus 6 is 38. Okay, and then 38 plus 0 is 38, and that's good because that matches up with what we started with. Now the median is the middle number, so 38 divided by 2 is 19. So we want to look at where the 19th number is. Now this first row here, that just goes up to 7. And this second row goes up to 21. So this is going to be where the median is. So the median number of goals is going to be 1. B says write down the mode. Well, that's the most. And so you just look at the frequency, and that's going to be 1 as well, because 14 goals, 14 times 1 goal has been scored. C says work out the mean number of goals the team scored in all 38 games. So let's just zoom out slightly for a sec. Okay, so all we do with this, let's grab a different colour. You're going to do the number of goals times the frequency, add them up for each section, and then divide by how many there are. So it's going to be 0 times 7 plus 1 times 14 plus 2 times 11 plus 3 times 6. All right, and then 4 or more, there's none, so we don't have to do that. And then it's going to be all over the total, which is 38. So again, I'm just going to type that in my calculator. So 0 times 7 plus 1 times 14 plus 2 times 11 plus 3 times 6. And that's all going to be over 38. And the answer I get is 1.4, and that's to 1 decimal place. Okay, and then just double check your answer kind of makes sense, and 1.4 does, you know, if you look at the data here, it's kind of centering around 1 and 2, isn't it? So 1.4 sounds all right to me. Okay. Number 17, we want to factorise 18x plus 24, so we're looking at a number that goes into 18 and 24, and they're both in the 6 times table. So I can take a 6 out. 6 times what is 18? Well, it's 3, and then don't forget the x. And 6 times 4 is 24. So that's 6 brackets 3x plus 4. Now we want to expand and simplify this. Well, if we do the first bit first, so 7 times t is 7t. 7 times minus 4 is minus 28. And then the second bit, 5 times t is 5t. And 5 times minus 2 is minus 10. Now, if we collect the like terms, how many t's have we got? Well, we've got 7, and then we've got 5. So that's 12 altogether. And then we're taking away 28, and then we're taking away another 10, so we're taking away 38 altogether. So simplified, that is 12t minus 38. Number 18, here is a number machine. So you shove a number in, you times it by 4, then you add 7, and you end up with some new number. Part A says find the output when the input is 5. So let's just kind of recreate this machine. So 5 times 4 is 20, and 20 plus 7 is 27. Similarly, find the output when the input is minus 3. So minus 3, again, we're timesing by 4, then we're adding 7. So again, 3 times 4 is 12, so minus 3 times 4 is minus 12, and minus 12 plus 7 is minus 5. Now this time it says find the input when the output is 71. So this time we want to start with 71, but we're going the opposite way, aren't we? Because we're starting with the output. So 71. Now we're going the opposite way, so you want to do the opposite operation. So instead of plus 7, we want to do minus 7. And instead of times 4, we want to divide by 4. So 71 take away 7 is 64. And 64 divided by 4 is 16. Okay, so the input is going to be 16. All right, 19. On the grid, draw the graph of y equals 2x minus 3 for the values of x from minus 3 to 3. Okay, well, if we get a little table of values, we're going to have x, y, and let's just go minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. All right, a little bit cozy at the end, but there we are. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in 0 as the first one. We're going to try 0. And 0 is the easiest one to calculate because that's going to make whatever the x thing disappear, because 2 times 0 is 0. So y is just going to be minus 3 because the 2x disappears. Now from this, I can actually use, because I know the gradient is 2x, that means for every 1 I go up in x, I'm going to go up 2 in y, because the gradient is 2. So actually, I can just quickly fill in this. If I'm going to the right, I'm going to add 2. So that's minus 1, 1, 3. And if I'm going to the left, I'm taking away 2. So that's minus 5, minus 7, minus 9. Okay, so once you find out your first value, you can actually, with a straight line graph, you don't have to sub the other values in. You can just look at the gradient and go up and down from there. So we want to draw this graph. So let's just plot these points. So we've got minus 3, minus 9, which is there. We've got minus 2, minus 7, which is there. We've got minus 1, minus 5. We've got 0, minus 3. We've got 1, minus 1. We've got 2 and 1. And we've got 3 and 2. 3 and 3, sorry. Like that. Okay, and then when you join them up, it should create a lovely straight line, but obviously use a ruler. And there we go. Okay, number 20, the accurate scale drawing shows a small box and a large box. The small box has a real height of 20 centimeters. Find an estimate for the real height of the large box. Okay, so because I'm using an iPad, I can't really measure this correctly. But what you would do for this one is you would measure the real height of the small box. You'd measure the real height of the large box. So for example, if this was, I don't know, say this was 5 centimeters and this was 50 centimeters, then you'd know from there to there, you times it by 10. And then if you know that the small box has a real height of 20, you'd times 20 by 10 to get 200. All right, but that's just an estimate. Let me write this down. This is just me making a guess. Okay, but in the real exam, you'd use a ruler and you'd measure it, compare the two measurements, and then use that for the real height of the large box. All right, 21. Karen buys a pack of 8 bottles of water. The pack costs £1.25. She then sells all the bottles of water for 50p each. Work out Karen's percentage profit. Okay, well, let's work out how much she's sold them for. So she sold 8 times 0.50, which is going to be £4. Oops, I'll stick a dot in there. All right, so we want to work out the profit. So you always do the new amount divided by the old amount. So 400 divided by 125, or £4 times £1.25. Put that in the calculator. Let's see what it looks like. So that is 3.2. And then what we want to do then is we want to times that by 100 to get your percentage. So that is 320%. But remember, we want the percentage profit. So 100 of that is just kind of breaking even because you're getting your money back 100%. So the percentage profit is going to be 320 minus 100, which is 220% profit. All right, 22a, write the ratio 32 to 112 in its simplest form. Well, there's a really easy way to do that with your calculator. Just write it as a fraction and it'll simplify it for you. So if I write 32 over 112 on my calculator and just press equals, it'll then give me 2 out of 7. So 32 over 112 simplifies to 2 out of 7. So I can write my ratio as 2 to 7, like that. B, it says it rained on 3/7 of the days in February. Write the ratio of the number of days it rained to the number of days it did not rain. Well, the number of days it rained was 3, and if it's out of 7, well, 3 plus 4 is 7, so 4 of the days it must not have rained. So that is that. Okay, Bill is a taxi driver. You can use this graph to find out the cost of a taxi for different distances. So you've got the journey cost going up here, and you've got the distance going across here. So for each journey, there is a fixed charge plus a charge for the distance. How much is the fixed charge? Well, if you look at the graph, it doesn't start at 0, does it? It starts here. So before you've even driven anywhere, you're being charged. And it's halfway between 0 and 10, so that is £5. And we'll just write that there. Okay. Then it says, Bill makes 2 journeys. The distance of one journey is 10 miles further than the distance than the other journey. Work out the difference between the 2 journey costs. Well, we just need to figure out how much 10 miles is going to cost, and that'll be the difference. So what we'll do is I'm going to actually pick, when you're looking at a graph to make differences, it normally makes sense just to pick the corners. So if I go from 10 to 20, like that, we're going to look at where we've gone from. So we've moved across 10, and we want to find out how much the price has gone up. So it's gone from 20 to 35. Okay, and that is a difference of £15. So 35 minus 20 is 15. So the difference in price is going to be £15. 24. Rachel has 2 bags. In the first bag, there are 4 red balls and 6 green balls. In the second bag, there are 3 red balls and 5 green balls. Rachel takes at random a ball from the first bag. She then takes a ball from the second bag. Complete the probability tree diagram. Right, well, the first bag, think about, well, how many balls are there? Well, there's 4 red and there's 3 green. And, there's 4 red and there's 6 green. And altogether there are 10. So the probability is going to be 4 out of 10 and 6 out of 10. For the second bag, we've got 3 red and we've got 5 green. And this time we've got 8 altogether. So it's going to be 3 out of 8, 5 out of 8, and it's going to be the same here as well. Okay, so that's our probability tree diagram. And then we want to work out the probability that she takes 2 green balls. And the way we do that is we follow the tree for where it works. So 2 green balls, well, that's going to be green on the first one and green on the second. Okay, and if you want 2 things to happen at the same time, you times them together. So we want to do 6 over 10 times 5 over 8. Again, do that in your calculator, it'll simplify it for you. So 6 over 10 times 5 over 8, and that gives me 3 over 8 altogether. Okay. So number 25, 100 students in year 7 either study French or German or Spanish. 45 students are boys and the rest are girls. Then it says 12 boys study German, 15 boys and 17 girls study French, and a total of 30 students study Spanish. Work out how many girls study Spanish. Okay, Well, why don't we do a frequency table or a two-way table for this? So we're going to draw a little table. So what have we got? We've got boys, girls, and total. And we've also got French, German, Spanish, and total as well. Okay, so just draw my lovely table. We'll do a little double line there and there. Okay, right, so let's fill in what we've got all together. So we know 45 students are boys, so the total boys is 45. Now we know that there are 100 students altogether, so we can already figure out that the girls will be 55 to make up the 100. Then we've got that 12 boys study German, so that's there. We've got 15 boys and 17 girls study French. So 15 boys and 17 girls study French. We can add them up to make 32 in total study French. And then it says a total of 30 students study Spanish. Work out how many girls study Spanish. All right then, so that's all the information I've figured out so far. But if we look at this boys section, we've got 45 altogether, and we've got 15 and 12, which is 27. So to make that 45, we want that to be 18. And then for girls and Spanish, which is what we want, 18 plus 12 is 30. So 12 girls study Spanish. Okay, so 26, describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. Okay, so we've got 2 marks. You're going to get one for just saying what it is. So from A to B, it's got bigger, so it's an enlargement. So A has been enlarged. Then we want to say by how much. Well, if we count the squares, we've got 1, 2, 3 on the bottom here, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the bottom here. So it's been doubled. So it's been enlarged by a scale factor of 2. And then we also want the center of enlargement. Now again, we want to be able to use a ruler, which I don't have with me at the minute. But the way I would do this normally is I would kind of connect up the lines and then keep going. So these would go like that. These 2 lines would go like that. And these 2 lines would go like that. And these all look like they kind of cross here, so that might be my center of enlargement, but it's probably more accurate when I use a ruler. But let's just say my center is 5 minus 6, but it could be 6 minus 6 as well, I'm not too sure. All right. Okay, so 27, a number x is rounded to 2 decimal places, and the result is 0.18. Write down the error interval for x. So the way I think about this, let's just zoom in a little bit. So if we're on 0.18, I think about what are the next numbers either side of that. If we're thinking of 2 decimal places, the next one would be 0.19 and the other one would be 0.17. And to figure out the error interval, I just look at what's in the middle of these. So in the middle of this is going to be 0.175 and in the middle of this is going to be 0.185. And those are my 2 numbers. Okay, now here they've given you these signs, but we know it can be 0.175 because if it's 5, you round it up. And that's why it can't be 0.185 because that would round up to 0.19. Okay, so anything in this interval is going to round to 0.18. Number 28. So A says simplify A9 times A4, so A to the power of 9 times A to the power of 4. If you times in, you just add the powers. So this is the same as A to the power of 9 plus 4, which is A to the power of 13. Now, if you're doing a power of a power, you times the powers together. So let's just look at this one. We've got 4 to start with. So 4b squared c, all of it cubed. So 4 cubed is 64. So we're going to start off with 64. Now, b squared cubed is going to be 2 times 3, which is 6. So that is b to the 6. And then we've just got c on its own, so that's going to be c cubed. And then finally for this question, we've got simplified d to the power of 9 divided by d to the power of 4. Well, when you divide, you take away the powers. So d to the power of 9 minus 4, that is d to the 5. Number 29, given that a to c is 1 to 6 and b to c is 2 to 5, find the ratio a to b to c. Give your answer in its simplest form. Well, the common one here is we've got a C there and a C there, so we want them to match. So at the minute we've got 5 and 6, so let's match them up. Now the way I want to do that is I just want to times them together to get a common multiple, and 5 times 6 is 30. So let's try and put these to 30 then. So we've got 1 to 6, and we want that to be 30, and we've got 2 to 5, and we want that to be 30. Okay, well, just adjust my microphone there. So from 6 to 30, I've times it by 5. That's from this. So I want to times 1 by 5, and that's 5. So we've got 5 to 30. Similarly, 5 times 6 from there is 30. So we want to do 2 times 6, which is 12. So now we've got 30 matched up. We can just write A, B, C. So A is 5, B is 12, and C is 30. And I can't simplify that anymore. So that's 5 to 12 to 30. Number 30, Nick bought a new car. Each year the car depreciates in value by 12%. Work out the number of years it takes for the car to halve in value. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, let's just start with the number 1. We're going to depreciate it, and then we're going to see how long it takes for that to turn into 0.5. Okay, so first of all, if it depreciates by 12%, we need to figure out what that looks like. So 100% minus 12 is 88%. So if we start with 1, we're going to do 1 times 0.88, and we're going to see what our answer is. So, well, it's just going to be 0.88, isn't it? So 1 times 0.88 is going to be 0.88. So that's 1 year, isn't it? Then we want to do the answer times another 0.88. But what you can do, you can write that as 0.88 squared. And that power will tell you what the year is every time. Okay, so that's going to give us 0.7744. And then if we keep going, so times again by 0.88. We're going to get 0.681472. Times it again. 0.599, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to keep going. So if I do it 5 years, it's going to be that. And 6 years is when it goes across under half. So 0.88 to the power of 6 is 0.4644, blah, blah, blah. So it's 6 years. Okay, number 31. In London, potatoes cost £0.45p per pound. And in Dublin, potatoes cost €1.48 per kilogram. 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds, and £1 is €1.15. In which city are potatoes better value for money, London or Dublin? Okay, so let's think about, well, we want the units to match basically, don't we? So in London, it's £0.45 per pound. So let's just keep that the same. And if we can make Dublin match up with pounds and kilograms, we'll be able to get the right answer. So we've got €1.48 per kilogram. And remember, 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So if we divide by 2.2, we're going to get the price per pound. So divide by 2.2. So let's write that. So we've got in our calculator 1.48 divided by 2.2, and that gives us 0.672, like that. And that is per pound. And then we want to go from euros to pounds. So then we do 0.672 divided by 1.15. And we end up with 0.58. So that is more expensive. So they are better value in London. Okay, question 32. The diagram shows a patio in the shape of a rectangle. So it's 3.6 meters long and 1.6 meters high. And Jack wants to cover the patio with paving slabs. Each paving slab is a square of side 40 centimeters. Okay, well, we're dealing with meters here, so let's just quickly write that 40 centimeters is 0.4 meters. The paving slabs cost £7.59 each, and Jack has £300 to spend on paving slabs. Does he have enough money to cover the patio with paving slabs? Well, we need to figure out how many paving slabs he needs. So across, so this way, well, up and down, it's going to be 1.6 divided by 0.4. And that's just going to give us 4. So he needs 4 going up and down. And then going across, that's going to be 3.6 divided by 0.4, which is 9. So altogether, Jack needs 9 times 4, which is 36 slabs. Now we can figure out how much that costs. So each slab costs £7.59, so 36 sounds £7.59. And that's going to give me £273.24. So yes, because he's got 300 quid, he has enough money. Okay, and I believe this is the last question of the paper. So we just want to solve these simultaneous equations. Well, the way we want to do this, we've got 3x minus y equals minus 4, and we've got 2x minus 3y is 9. So we want to make either the x's or the y's match. Now I'm looking at y's because I can just times the top by 3 and it's going to match already. So if I just times everything in this top one by 3, I'm going to get 9x, 3x times 3 is 9x, minus 3y equals minus 4 times 3 is minus 12. Okay, and now what I can do, so let's just label these equations. So I've got 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to do 3 take away 2. Okay, so let's do 3 take away 2. So if we look at the x's, I've got 9x here minus 2x there, so that's going to give me 7x. Then I've got minus 3y minus minus 3y. So that is minus 3y plus 3y, which is going to disappear, and that's why we did it. And then finally, we've got minus 12 minus 9, which is minus 21. And then if 7x is minus 21, divide by 7, x must be minus 3. So that's x, and then I can just shove that into any other equation. So why not shove it into number 1? So if I look at number 1, I've got 3x, but I know that x is minus 3. Minus y equals minus 4. 3 times minus 3 is minus 9. Everything else stays the same. And then what I can do is I can add the 9 onto the right-hand side. So minus y equals 5. So if minus y equals 5, y must be minus 5. So those are my two answers. So x is minus 3 and y is minus 5. And that's the end of the paper. So hopefully that was helpful, and I'll be doing more videos soon. So hopefully see you again.